Hey everybody, welcome to another action-packed, exciting episode of Scotty's Record Shop. On my last video, I mentioned I was going to do a group that didn't get a lot of love on YouTube. Well, I looked again and realized there were actually, I don't want to say a lot, but there were a few ranking videos of this particular group, 70s group, beloved 70s group from Canada. Probably the best one was, and I'd mentioned this already, but a guy named Pete Pardo many years ago. He does this channel, Sea of Tranquility. Check his channel out. Not that he needs my help getting viewers, but he's a great channel. I've been watching him for years. I love his ranking videos. He did this group, and he did a much more thorough job than I am going to do, and there's a reason for that. He just chose to go in a little bit of a different direction. The band that we're talking about today is Bachman Turner Overdrive, or simply BTO. And Pete decided to do some albums that came out in the late 70s that did not have Randy Bachman on them. Two albums, one that came out in 78 and one that came out in 79. I have them on vinyl downstairs. They're not bad, but there was just something about, it was Randy Bachman's band, even though there were other Bachman brothers in it at different times, which we'll get into a little bit. I just didn't feel the need to include those albums. So we're just going to basically do the albums from 73 through 77. Also going to give a little bit of a history about these guys. Randy Bachman was in a band in Canada called Chad Allen and the Expressions. They were known by another name too, because of a record company thing here in America. So if you're in Canada, you're going to see some albums released by Chad Allen and the Expressions, and then there's going to be some released by guess who? And that was because the U.S. company here, Skepter, in 1965, released the single "Shakin' All Over," and I guess they didn't feel the Chad Allen and the Expressions was a great name, so without the band's permission, they kind of decided to do a little gimmick. Guess who? Guess who it is? It's Guess Who. And I'm sure that worked, well, obviously it did something because that was a moderate hit here in America in 65. So they were kind of like going under two names. Chad Allen left in 66, I think it was. Late 66, maybe early 67. But he comes back into the story a little bit later on. They get this young kid named Burton Cummings to join. Great singer. To this day, great singer. And a great piano player. He can play guitar. He writes. Great addition to the band. And they got signed to RCA here in America, but also, I believe, up there, distributed up in Canada as well on RCA. And at that point in time, they're like, we're going with the name Guess Who because we already have a foothold sort of in the United States. People know who the Guess Who is, even though it's kind of a different band. So we're going to go with that name. And, of course, great success. And then Randy Bachman, right in the middle, right honestly at the peak of the Guess Who's success, went, I don't like the amount of drugs and stuff that you guys are doing. You guys are somewhere in the ozone. You don't even know where the hell you are. Not that Bachman was a perfect angel. He liked to drink. You didn't think there was anything wrong with drinking, but there was a lot of drugs going on in the 70s, in the early 70s. So he left right after the American Woman album. This is where Chad Allen gets into the story again. He decides, I'm going to form another band. And he formed a band named Brave Belt. Now, this is not going to be included in the ranking, even though this is kind of the predecessor to BTO. Two albums. I have both these on vinyl downstairs, but if you're looking to hear what these sound like, this is probably the cheapest way to go. I think this is still available. The albums are a little more elusive, not like super expensive and hard to find, but easier to find the CD, and it's cheap. Brave Belt 1, Brave Belt 2. This is different. It's kind of I guess maybe a country rock. This is not BTO, although there was only one missing element that would make it BTO. So Chad Allen singing on this. And then Chad Allen ditched Randy Bachman again. This band wasn't really going anywhere, so Chad's like, I'm out of here. So he left. And Randy Bachman recruited C.F. Turner, Fred Turner, on bass and vocals, and rebranded the band Bachman Turner. Makes sense, considering they were for the first Bachman Turner, actually for the first two Bachman Turner Overdrive albums, it was all either Bachmans or Turner. You had three Bachman brothers and Fred Turner in for the first two albums. So Bachman Turner and the Overdrive came from a magazine, a truckers magazine. They saw it and they thought, Overdrive, that works, and that was the kind of music they were hoping to do. All right, so let's get into the discography here. What I'm going to do, 73 to 77. Hopefully you're still with me after that long introduction, but I felt it was important to go from where he was. Randy Bachman took a lot of chances. I mean, walking away from a huge band at the height of their career to form another band with a guy who ditched him in the first place, in the first band, who ditched him again. And a lot of people would say, the hell with this music industry stuff, I'm done. So he comes back, and this is where he gets it. He gets it right with BTO. Anyway, on the bottom of my list, by the way, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 albums. Not a very long discography, but these are only the studio albums, by the way. So we're going to look at some of these actually are double, 2-on-1. It's just the easiest way to get these. I have all these on vinyl, but back in the days when you could buy dollar bin records, I don't even think there were dollar bin records anymore, other than like Mitch Mitchell, right? Maybe scratched up Mitch Mitchell albums, maybe dollar bin stuff now. But back in the day, Bachman Turner Overdrive albums were a dime a dozen, easy to get. The ones that I didn't buy, which were most of them when I was a kid, I picked up later, and I started doing the CD thing. I picked up these, but anyway, at the bottom at number 6 from 1977, Freeways. It's this one right here. 77. This was the band. No hits on this album. This isn't a horrible album, but you can tell the band's getting tired. It just wasn't going anywhere for them. And Randy Bachman decided to leave after this album, and he decided to put together another band, which did not work. I have the album downstairs, Iron Horse. Louis. Yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about, that was the single from that not Brave Belt, but Iron Horse album, and it just was like him doing his stuttering thing, and it was just not a great song. And the album was not that great, and it didn't go anywhere. And eventually, Bachman Turner Overdrive, they're together again with the members that are still alive. Randy Bachman's brothers are all gone now. But anyway, number 6, Freeways from 77. Not a bad album, but not a great album. Okay. Continuing, we go to another one of these double disc things. These are great value, by the way. I mean, $15 or whatever it is. If you can find these on Amazon, I'm pretty sure you can still. You get 2 albums for one. They sound good, Anyway, we're going to go with the very first album from BTO, 1973. This was a good album, but they weren't quite where they were going. They weren't as heavy and tight. They were just still trying to figure out their sound. Give Me Your Money, Please is one of the songs on this album, and that's a classic early BTO. Blue Collar, I think, is on here as well. But anyway, not a bad album at all. It was not the first album I bought by them way back in the day, or even the first album that I remember even hearing. But number 5, BTO's second album. Okay. Going back to the other disc. This is, I think, a really underrated album. I even though it's at number 4, It's still a damn good album, I think, and it's a very underrated, really heavy album. It's Head On, which is this one right here. 1975. Um, Not much to say about this other than it didn't have it didn't have hits, didn't have the hits per se, but it was just a good BTO. They were on a roll. They had a formula, and it was working for them, and it was a good album. I bought this. We had this in the house when it came out because with what came before it, which we're going to see in a little while, this was just made sense to buy this. It was another BTO album. It was going to be a great album, and it was. So if you've never heard this album by BTO, Head On. Stream it or do whatever you want to do. Maybe you can find it for a couple, $3 on vinyl. I don't know. Is that even possible anymore? Like I said, vinyl is so damn expensive lately. All right. This was where BTO really kind of caught fire. And my brother had this album, talking BTO 2, which is that one right there. We're getting the hits now. We're selling records, and we're making BTO albums. We're making Bachman Turner Overdrive albums that really sound like Bachman Turner Overdrive, and really just somebody referred to them as caveman rock. Just this kind of I don't want to say brutal because it's not like it's like Motorhead or something like that. But for 1974, 1973, 4, 5, this was just some good, flat out rock and roll. And this was a great album, BTO 2. Like I said, that was the first one my brother picked up. And it was great. All right. That was number 3, by the way. Number 2. 4-Wheel Drive from 75. This was a great friggin' album. Be honest with you, the top 3 here, even number 4, even Head On, I think is a solid album. But I think my number 1 and my number 2 are just set in stone. They've always been. I grew up with these, love them to this day. Anyway, 4-Wheel Drive, 1975, classic Bachman Turner Overdrive. Again, if you've never heard these guys before, if you've only heard You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet and Taking Care of Business, which is pretty much all that gets played on classic rock radio anymore. If you want to explore the band even further, especially these last 2 albums, these go there. So anyway, at number 2, 4-Wheel Drive. Number 1, I think it's no controversy here. I don't think there was any hot takes in this list. I think pretty much everybody who likes Bachman Turner Overdrive has this album at number 1. And if you don't, and maybe you have this at number 1, or maybe even you could have you could have this at number 1. Or BTO 2. I'm good with that. I mean, if you've got Freeways at number 1, I don't know, but anyway, number 1, Not Fragile. Now the title from this album, Randy Bachman was inspired by Yes for this album cover, or this title, because he was thinking, Fragile by Yes. By the way, Fragile is not a Fragile album. Some of it is, but it's not. It can rock. But he's like, this is a heavy album. This is a rock and roll album. This isn't fragile. This is not fragile. There you go. There, and put the gears in a box. And this was not a fragile album. This was not a delicate album. But it is a fantastic album from Bachman Turner Overdrive. Again, just if this is the first thing you listen to as an introduction, you're not going to go wrong. Okay, so there you go. My favorite Bachman Turner Overdrive. Not necessarily a huge group like the Beatles or Genesis. I've done Genesis. I'm going to do Beatles in a little while. But they were a mainstay in 70s rock and roll radio, and all of us who grew up in the 70s, most of us dug BTO. So anyway, thank you again for watching. A little bit of a shorter video than the ones recently, but that's okay, right? Like, subscribe, share, tell people about the channel. I'm getting views, but it's kind of funny. I'm my subscribers. I'm like teetering at one point, and I'll lose a subscriber, which I don't get, and then I'll gain one, and then I'll lose one, and then I'll gain one. I'm staying at this same number, and I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this for fun, and I'm talking to you because if you're watching this, I know that you like music and enjoy this kind of stuff as much as I do. So that's the reason I'm doing this. But it would be nice if this thing grew a little more. So share, like, and subscribe. Get that algorithm behind Scotty's Record Shop. All right. All right. Until next time, everybody. Peace and love.